All right, so get this. You sent over this podcast episode about manifesting your dream life, and it's got me thinking, what if we really can shape our reality just with our thoughts and feelings?
It's wild, right? And this whole concept of like personal vibration that this podcast talks about, it's basically saying that we're all just like these little energy stations sending out signals based on, our thoughts and emotions, the whole nine yards.
Yeah, so we're like walking around broadcasting our own personal radio frequencies.
Exactly.
And then those frequencies like attract similar energies back to us.
That's the idea.
Okay, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down, but can you like paint a picture for me? How does this actually like play out in real life?
Oh, okay, so like, have you ever noticed how when you're in a bad mood, it's like everything just kind of goes wrong?
Oh.
You spill your coffee, you miss the bus, and then your boss like dumps a mountain of work on your desk.
Ugh, it's like the universe can sense your bad mood and decides to pile on.
And that's exactly it. That's like the law of attraction in action, at least according to, this Abraham Hicks person, like attracts, like, so if you're vibrating at a frequency of, stress and lack, you're way more likely to just attract more of that same energy.
Okay, that makes sense in theory, but like if we're talking about manifesting things like actually like a fulfilling career or more money, positive thinking alone doesn't really cut it right.
Right. And the podcast even mentions how it's not always easy to just stay positive, especially when life, throws curveballs.
For sure.
But this is where it gets interesting, because what Abraham Hicks says is that our emotions are even more powerful than our thoughts when it comes to like what we're putting out there.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So even if I'm like saying all the right things in my head, if deep down I'm feeling insecure or doubtful, that's going to mess with my ability to actually manifest what I want.
Totally. It's like creating resistance, almost like static on a radio signal.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like the podcast gives an example of someone who really wants to find a partner, but deep down they're terrified of getting hurt, or they don't think they're worthy of love. So they're putting up these blocks.
Wow, it's like our subconscious is calling the shots, even if we're trying to like project this whole other reality.
Yeah, you could say that.
So then how do we break that gap? How do we get our emotions to like match up with what we want, especially if we've got, some baggage or old beliefs holding us back?
Okay. So let's say I'm like ready to roll up my sleeves and start like shifting my vibration.
Yeah.
What are some things I can actually do?
Well, the good news is this podcast gives us a ton of practical tools.
Yeah.
And one of the like simplest but most powerful is gratitude.
Gratitude.
Okay.
But how does just like being thankful actually change anything?
It's about focusing on what you have instead of what's missing. When you're appreciating the good stuff, you're basically telling the universe like, hey, I'm open to more of this. So I'm like priming my energy to attract more abundance, but focusing on the abundance that's already here. Okay, I like it. But what about when those like negative thoughts creep in? Like when I'm stuck in traffic and I'm already late.
That's when affirmations can be super helpful.
It's
like, think of them as these positive little mantras that can help you redirect your thoughts.
So instead of spiraling into, this always happens to me, I could say something like, I am calm, I am in control, everything is working out for me.
Exactly. The podcast really emphasizes finding affirmations that resonate with you personally and then actually using them regularly.
It's like training your brain to focus on the positive, even when things are kind of chaotic. Speaking of training our minds, the podcast also mentions visualization. Is that where we break out the vision boards?
Yes, visualization is huge for this stuff because it lets you actually experience the feeling of having what you want, even if you don't have it yet.
So if I'm dreaming of like traveling the world, I should be like making Pinterest boards of beaches and like picturing myself sipping cocktails in Mali or something. Yeah.
Exactly. The more vivid you can make it, the more you're like imprinting that reality onto your subconscious.
It's like giving your subconscious a sneak peek of what's to come. But it's got to be easy to get like caught up in all that excitement and forget that we're not just like passive bystanders in this whole thing, right?
Yeah, you're totally right. The podcast actually cautions against getting too attached to specific outcomes or like timelines.
So it's not about telling the universe exactly how and when my desires should happen. It's more about trusting that the universe like has my back.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance between taking action and also surrendering to the process. Trusting that maybe the universe has something even better in store.
Okay, that resonates. But we're not just talking about like manifesting parking spots or winning lottery tickets, right? What about those like deeper issues? Like, what if I've always struggled with self-doubt or being afraid to fail? How do I even begin to shift that kind of energy? So we've talked about all these like amazing tools for shifting our vibration, but what about that like deep down stuff. Like, what if I've got these beliefs that are holding me back, even if I'm trying to, like, think differently?
Oh, yeah, the podcast definitely talks about that. It's like those really deep subconscious beliefs can be tricky.
So it's not as easy as just, like, slapping a positive affirmation on top of a belief of, I'm not good enough or something.
Nope. It's like if you think about those beliefs as like the foundation of a house, you could try to make it look pretty, but if the foundation's messed up, it's not going to be very stable.
Okay, I like that analogy. So
Yeah.
how do we even start to, like, fix those foundational
The
beliefs?
first step is just being aware of them.
Hmm,
It's like turning on the lights in a dark room, right?
right.
Once you can see what you're dealing with, you can start to like clean things up.
I'm sensing another metaphor here.
Yeah, totally. Like let's say you've always wanted to be an artist, but deep down you don't believe you're talented enough. You might start comparing yourself to others, focusing on your flaws, and then just giving up before you even really try.
Ooh, I felt that. So then how do you actually break free from that cycle?
That's where all those tools we talk about come in, like gratitude, affirmations, visualization. But instead of focusing on the end goal, like becoming a famous artist, you focus on just enjoying the process of creating.
So instead of I'm not good enough, maybe it's I'm grateful for the chance to express myself, or I love trying new art techniques.
Exactly. It's like slowly but surely shifting your perspective from lack to abundance, from doubt to believing in yourself.
Like retraining your brain to see things in a whole new way. But I'm sure there are going to be times when, like, those old negative thoughts pop up again. What happens then?
Totally normal. The podcast even says that setbacks are just part of the process. It's not about never having negative thoughts. It's more about learning how to handle them in a healthy way.
So it's okay to have a bad day every now and then.
Exactly. Just don't unpack and live there.
Yeah.
You know, acknowledge those feelings and then gently bring your energy back to a better place.
This has been awesome. It's like we're not just stuck with whatever reality is thrown at us. We actually have the power to create what we want.
Exactly. It's about taking control of our energy and using these tools to manifest the lives we desire.
Yes. And listeners, remember this whole self-discovery thing. It's a journey. So enjoy the ride, celebrate the wins, and don't underestimate how powerful you really are. Until next time, keep those vibes high and those dreams alive.